What are the political implications of having a Mashujaa Day celebration with the Uhuru Gardens virtually empty of ordinary wananchi? Well, going by the reaction I've seen from most analysts, it means nothing, or it is not very important. I have a different view, and history supports me in that view. Because in the year 2017, Jamhuri Day celebrations, remember that? The place was empty. The president then, President Uhuru Kenyatta, made a speech to diplomats, politicians, but the wananchi were a no-show. Yeah? And if I can quickly remind you, it was shortly after that that President Uhuru Kenyatta was pushed into a corner. The pressure was too much, and the handshake happened. Yeah, barely 2 months after that empty stadium. Yeah, on March 18th, on the stairs of Harambee House. I can now see you sitting up to pay close attention, and that's good. And now that I have your full attention, let me take this opportunity to remind you that this is a good time to give this video a thumbs up, a like, if you're already enjoying it. Now, times are very hard in Kenya, and that is why for the next 24 hours, strictly for the next 24 hours, you can enter my weekly intelligence briefings for only 850 Kenya shillings, 850 for 6-month subscription, and 1,850 only, okay, wait for this one, for a life membership. Strictly 24 hours. Rush. Okay, this is a dedication to the hard times Kenyans are passing through. So please take full advantage. It will not be extended. Let me tell you early. Strictly 24 hours from now it ends. Midnight, the 22nd of October 2022, this offer kaput. Kwisha maneno. You can see details on your screens right now on what you're supposed to do. So rush and do this. Yeah, take advantage of this hard times offer from yours truly. You know, the very nature of politics is that a chain of events usually leads to something major. Yeah, this happens, people ignore it. That happens, some people notice it, the vast majority ignore it. That happens, everybody notices. Something else happens, nobody even notices. But when you put all these things together, something very major down the road happens. And this is what I believe we are facing as a country shortly. Yeah? And I believe the events of our Mashujaa Day celebrations at the Uhuru Gardens yesterday is just one of those very key events, joined with other events that is going to lead us into a place that will shock Kenyans. That is what I believe. That is my opinion. What am I talking about? Stick with me and find out. But even before we proceed, I'd like to play you a small audio clip of what I said after the Jamhuri Day celebrations fiasco of December 12th, 2017. Okay, just listen in, because a lot of those things that came up then are still very true, if not more true today. Just listen in. Happy Jamhuri Day, folks. I am not saying that sarcastically. Yeah, I just wish all Kenyans a happy Jamhuri Day. Now, while saying that,
I know that the farthest thing on the minds of most long-suffering Kenyans is a happy Jamhuri Day. We all know that our country is not at a good place, okay? Now, we all know that actions speak louder than words, yes? Human nature is such that you can tell somebody, I love you, but in your heart, really, you don't. Yeah, that's normally the human nature. So we would prefer the actions. The actions are much more accurate. The actions speak louder than any words a human being would utter. Okay? So maybe it's good we get a feel of what Kenyans think of this Jamhuri Day, yeah? Why don't we just go straight to Kasarani Stadium, where the main celebrations, yeah, led by the political class, yes, are being held. Now, I'm sure there's something you've noticed immediately from the photographs appearing on your screen right now. Yeah? Kasarani is empty. Now, trust me, this is a record. Yeah? I've been following public holidays for decades. Yeah? And I have never, ever seen a public holiday celebrated by a handful of people, really. That's what it is. Gosh. Watu wako wapi? And these are the celebrations in Nairobi. Yeah. Now, where Kasarani is situated, it's surrounded by quite a lot of residential estates that are packed with very many Kenyans from all over the country. And they couldn't think of just taking a brief walk to Kasarani Stadium, yeah, to take part in the celebrations in Rosafi. Hey. Folks, you can clearly see the stadium is virtually empty. Of course, where dignitaries are normally seated is packed. Yeah, ambassadors, the judiciary, politicians, etc., etc. It's packed. Yeah, but where the people are supposed to sit, I mean the people of Kenya, it's just a handful. Now, of course, one would wish that it was possible to forge a crowd at times like this. One would wish that you could do some magic on the computer and then pop, vifaranga vya wananchi, pop, fill the stadium immediately. My apologies for laughing, but the alternative is to cry. Yeah? To cry for our motherland, Kenya. Because surely this is not what the founding fathers had in mind or envisaged about the country called Kenya. Those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for Kenya, I'm sure this is not what they envisaged. But folks, that's what it is. It's just there in black and white. If you do not want to see, then you cannot see. Yeah? But if you have eyes and just open, you will see them. You will see what is happening in our country. Yeah, very well illustrated by this, what is unfolding actually at Kasarani Stadium. Yeah, very well illustrated by the turnout for a major public holiday, the Independence Day of Kenya. Yeah, this is what you get. Now, this is a far cry from previous years, of course. Previous years, the problem has always been crowd control. Okay, with many people locked out of the stadium for the celebrations. Okay, today it seems that people had room, the few turned up, yeah, are having a nice time because they have room to stretch their legs, they have room to do a lot of things, yeah, as they take in the celebrations of the 54th Kenyan Jamhuri Day. And so, assuming that this is the symptom, what is the disease? Yeah, you know, if you have a disease, you'll start getting headaches, maybe you're vomiting. Those are symptoms, yeah? What is the problem? What problem do you have in order to have those symptoms, yeah? So empty stadium, nobody's interested in public holidays, a major public holiday like Jamhuri Day. Those are symptoms. What is the problem? What is really going on here? Folks, in my humble view, I think we hardly have a country left. Yeah, that's what it has come down to. Very sad, but that's a brutal truth. And I dare add, once again, yet another illustration that the dictatorial ruling Jubilee government does not have the numbers. Now, let me elaborate on that briefly. Nairobi is cosmopolitan. Okay, we have people from virtually every corner of the country. Okay, Now, if it was true that the ruling Jubilee government has the support of the vast majority of Kenyans, then what would have happened is that those people from different parts of the country would have gathered at Kasarani Stadium and would have had a respectable crowd for a respectable National Jamhuri Day. And naturally, because it's not possible to do something on a computer, the crowds are not there. It's as simple as that. So how did we get here? How did we get to this very, very sorry state of a Jamhuri Day with an empty stadium?
I'm sure you found that very interesting and indeed very instructive. Now, being the president of a country, being the leader of a country, is not an easy matter. It is a complicated thing. But let's cut to the chase. The issue here is an issue of legitimacy. In my opinion, President William Ruto did not fully comprehend and understand the impact of the legitimacy issues after the 2017 stolen presidential elections. That's really what it is. In my opinion, it is easy to imagine that with only instruments of power and under our new 2010 Constitution, it is a piece of cake leading a country where the majority are not supporting you. Well, as former President Uhuru Kenyatta found out very quickly, actually it's not. It becomes an uphill task. It may not be so difficult to do it over a short period of time, but as time passes, it tends to become more and more difficult. And remember, in 2017, the Jubilee Party of President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto almost had a super majority in parliament, but still it couldn't be done. The handshake had to kick in. We also know that President Ruto, even in the days he was deputy president, was very critical of the handshake. Indeed, the handshake was blamed for every evil. Everything going wrong in Kenya was blamed on the handshake. And I believe that position has not changed for UDA, the party. The handshake messed up everything. That's their political position. And there's something else that President Ruto will have to deal with, which President Uhuru Kenyatta never faced. And that is an economy on its knees, literally, and Kenyans passing through some very difficult times. Perhaps the most difficult times ever seen, ever witnessed on these shores. Now that makes things even more complicated. Well, it is said that President William Ruto is a student of the late President Moi in terms of the way he carries out his politics. But we also know that one thing Moi knew very well, and throughout his presidency showed us very clearly, is that it is very difficult, almost impossible, to lead hungry people, to lead people who are passing through economic difficulties. Moi was paranoid about hungry Kenyans, and many times we saw him do everything in his power to ensure that areas of the country hit by hunger, starvation, economic difficulties, he went out of his way to offer quick solutions, including the time he imported yellow maize from the United States of America, which many people told us yellow maize in the US is usually fed to horses. And so the question we have to pose is the following. Is the Ruto administration doing enough to address the current hardships Kenyans are going through? You answer that question for yourself. If the answer is no, then we can be sure that being president of Kenya, ruling Kenyans, will become even more and more difficult and complicated in the weeks and months to come. You see, even if some analysts ignore what happened at the Uhuru Gardens on the 20th of October 2022, the truth is, it was a very loud statement from the people of Kenya. You see, where the Uhuru Gardens are is a comfortable walking distance from the Mukuru slums. Ya Mukuru kwa Nganga, Mukuru kwa Njenga, Mukuru kwa Ruben, etc., etc., which is adjacent to the industrial area in Nairobi. Uhuru Gardens is also a reasonable walking distance from many other slum areas, and areas where the down and out live. For instance, the Kibra slums. My point being, the fact that so many Kenyans decided to skip the Mashujaa Day celebrations, that is a very loud statement from Kenyans. That is Kenyans, the vast majority of Kenyans, speaking in a very loud voice. And any keen political observer will be very, very concerned, more than concerned, at the events of 20th October 2022. You know, the body language of those who attended the Mashujaa Day celebrations spoke volumes. In fact, it spoke much, much louder than any of the speeches we heard on that day. For instance, the body language of First Lady, Her Excellency Rachel Ruto, it spoke volumes. But the person who would give us even a clearer picture of the mood at the Mashujaa Day celebrations is controversial lawyer Miguna, who is back in the country and attended those celebrations. He told us he was specifically invited by President Ruto. You know, observing Miguna carefully, he was quite surprised, in my opinion. I think Miguna expected wild cheers from a large crowd at the Uhuru Gardens. The crowd was not there. The cheers were not there. Let me just leave it at that. I'll be giving you other updates in the coming days. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.